This is my 2003 Mercedes-Benz SL350. Now the 350 means it's actually got a 3.7 litre V6 which produced 245 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It's actually quite smooth and quite quiet compared to the engine. You'll want to see the interior, which is the highlight of any Mercedes-Benz, or so I'm told. Inside the R230, which is the code name for this Mercedes-Benz, it's a big step up in material quality over the R129, but several issues arise. As I said, the R230 actually is nicer inside than the R129 in terms of its material quality. The dash is leather instead of that, well, vinyl that was used on the R129 generation. There's far more wood, and it just looks a lot more modern and actually a lot nicer inside. The screen is better, and everything just looks crisp and more ergonomic. But that's where the positive ends, really. These climate control dials rattle about. They make a clicking noise, like that when you adjust the temperature. It's like a child's toy. Once you get past the Fisher-Price sound though, what you really notice is that this actually really isn't put together all that well. Here's some sacrilege, it looks like something General Motors might do. The next thing we have to talk about is actually this release button for the roof. It feels quite flimsy, and it really doesn't give you very much confidence when you pull it or push it to engage the roof. Look, here's a nice practicality, cup holders. Only one of them works. Cuss it some slack, it's an early noughties Mercedes, but they're perfectly positioned so that you can spill your drink all down the electronics and break them. Another legendary Mercedes feature are these sort of seat controls on the door here. In the R230, they've been designed so that when you sit here, you actually can't see them or reach them very easily to adjust your seat. The next thing you notice are these door bins. They're creaky, and the fit and finish is really quite poor. Tut tut Mercedes. Now last week I made a video showing how many of the features on this car work. Now I want to start with the keyless go. Now this enables you, if you have the key in your pocket, to press start on there without engaging the key in the ignition slot over here. To be perfectly honest, it seems like a pointless feature, but it is of course broken on this car because they all break. I know why it is, but you know, what can you do? It's quite expensive to fix. While this car has 3-position memory seats for the passenger, which seems actually quite pointless, there are no heated or ventilated seats on either side. Now you could get this feature on the SL500 and 600, but why have they omitted it for this model? Now, let's show you all the Mercedes-Benz command system. Which is ironic really, this message, because this is the most distracting screen I think that could possibly be designed. I mean, look at all these fiddly little buttons here. However, it is colour, it's not a touch screen, but these dials actually have a surprising quality to them that the rest of the car doesn't really. The system has a television. Now this was disconnected many years ago, but I actually think it's quite cool that in 2003 you could sit in this car and watch TV. I've been quite harsh on this car, but one thing that I do quite like are these seats. The leather is very soft even after 23 years, and they're actually quite comfortable. They're very wide, so they're comfortable even if you're 300 pounds as well, which is a real bonus. And despite what I said earlier, there are a multitude of adjustments for this seat, including lumbar support there for both sides. Another feature that I actually really like about this car is the panoramic roof, so that even when the roof is up you can enjoy the sun. And another feature I like, when the engine is on, this little display shows the time, and when you're in reverse it will show you the parking sensors, and it's actually quite nice to have it there because it's right in your line of sight. And to Mercedes-Benz credit, the parking sensors actually work. Let's have a look at this rather flamboyant gauge cluster. I mean, really, what were they thinking? Oh my god, that's creaky. What were they thinking? However, it does look quite cool. The needles are quite styled, and I actually do quite like it, despite the fact it doesn't give you very much information. I think it looks quite classy, actually. However, perhaps my favourite feature of this car are the vanity mirrors. it has a little hood on it so that the light doesn't actually offer any illumination. It's very helpful, but the mirrors are felt lined, look. It's nice and soft. Now, I did say this car was loaded with features. One of them that I do quite like is this power tilt and telescope steering wheel that I'm told links to the memory seats. These stalks, one for the cruise control and one for, well, actually everything else, do become quite confusing, but they do, while they do look quite ugly, feel quite nice to use. You can see the little contour here that actually fits your fingers quite nicely. The next thing I actually like about this car is that there are a lot of storage options. On both sides you have these little storage bins that no one will ever put anything in because they rattle about, but they do, on the plus side, make getting in and out a little bit harder, combined with the long doors. The second storage feature that I do really like is this twin armrest. Look, it's felt lined and has a little coin holder. It's double, so you get a deeper one at the bottom that's actually cooled as well. Despite how poorly they're constructed, I do also like these door bins. They too are felt lined, and they're actually very deep and quite handy when they're not creaking. Look at that, the seat is power operating, whirring its way forward so I can get to the next cool storage feature. Look at these little bins back here that are really, really hard to open. They're deep and they actually are quite useful. If you didn't know they were there, they're quite discreet. Something else that I actually like about this car is the sound that the door makes when you close it. And when you open it, it gives an air of quality that, whilst the interior doesn't back up, it makes everybody think it will. Because when you open and close the door, that sounds like a bank vault. To sum up then, this car is a mixed bag. It offers nice features, comfortable seats, and a very luxurious interior when you're standing still and you don't actually try and rest your leg on anything because it will creak. Really then, it's a loss of nice materials sellotaped together, but that's fine. That's not the point of this car. When you drive it, you feel like you've made it, and that's a really nice feeling actually. It really is. Which you then briefly forget when you go over a bump and the car sounds like it's going to fall apart, but that's fine. You quickly forget that when you get back on and you're just cruising at 25 miles an hour. It really is a nice experience. So thank you all for watching.